Well, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started today. Lots to cover. I missed something huge. This image, by now, you guys have all seen this. Trump in front of a warp speed Stargate, standing next to Melania with a literal snake wrapped around her on her dress. Now, this was one of the election celebration balls, or inauguration celebration balls that Trump threw. I think there were several at this point. And the reason why this image is so important is because it links Trump back to his first presidency. How so? Well, look at the background. And now, look at warp speed. And let that sink in for a few seconds. New presidency, looking back at warp speed, because it was always about the prick, wasn't it? It was always about the prick. You know, Eve's eyes were opened, and the eye is the window to the soul. The serpent was in the garden. And this warp speed also looks like the iris of the eye, the window to the soul. So I wanted to show you guys that. And now we're going to get into Trump deporting these illegals via C-17 military aircraft. Now, I did the math on this, and I'm going to share that with you guys after I say good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? This is unbelievable. Now, tomorrow's show, I'm going to show you exactly how warp speed fits in to what's happening right now. We're going to unpack the Chinese AI called DeepSeek, and I'm going to tell you exactly what all of this is about in retrospect, linking back to the spam-demic, and it's going to blow your mind. We're also going to talk about chatbots, which is the artificial intelligence, and what they actually do. They're literally socially engineering us, socially engineering sentiment and belief systems through social media, through comments, sections, chats, and likely even entire social media accounts that aren't even real. This is the era we have entered into. This is why you have to be very, very careful about who you follow, who you believe in comments sections. I try to do my diligence to eliminate all of that stuff from our comments sections. And that's not censorship. It's protecting the organic integrity of free thought. Who wants AI in our comment sections? We don't. Now, am I going to get it right every time? No. But this is what we're up against. We're literally fighting a machine. And I'll give you examples of that on tomorrow's show, because I caught them red-handed on the channel. Because it's easy to find them, because they're just simply copying and pasting the same comment over and over again across multiple channels. That's a machine. Who does that? Now, let's get into these deportations. Now, understand, before we get into this is not a Trump hate channel. I actually agree with what Trump is doing. And see, that's how you can tell bots too, because they don't listen to what I'm actually telling them. I actually agree with a lot of what he's doing, but to what end is the question. Now, what is Trump up to? Well, if you haven't heard by now, he's well into these deportations. And the most recent news that I could find on how many people have been deported is about 500 illegals per day. About 500 illegals per day. And the way that they're doing this is with these C-17 military aircraft. Now, I'm seeing totals since the presidency began of only 1,000. So the average is actually less than 500 per day, but we'll go with 500 per day. 500 illegals per day. So I did the math. Here's the C-17. This is what it costs to essentially fly per hour. It's about $200,000 per hour to fly one of these aircraft. Okay. 8 hour. Oh, that's an 8 hour flight. Okay, so our math might be off in terms of the cost. I need to fix that. Costs are actually lower, but the focus here is the amount of time that this is going to take. So it's a 16-hour round trip flight to an average location, let's say in Central or South America. I think I picked Colombia as the average distance. Then I did the math on this. These planes hold an average of about 100 passengers. And so at 100 passengers, you'd have to do 5 flights. And I think that would be a pretty aggressive day to get to the 500 that they're going for. Here's the number of passengers that the C-17 holds, 134, but you got to understand there's supporting staff. You know, there's the pilot, there's the people that are guarding these people and all that are on the plane. So 5 flights per day. Now, if we do the math, we're looking at several $1 million per day to deport these illegals. And again, I'll redo the math. Actually, we could probably do the math on this here. Let's see here. We'll go back here. 192,000, 24,000 per hour. So basically divide the number that I have in the title by 8 in terms of the cost. So I think it was 350 billion divided by 8. Let's do that. 350 billion divided by, just to make it a complete show here. 350. Okay, that's 350 million. There's 350 billion, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh gosh. Million. Billion. Two. So we're looking at roughly, if we round this up to 400, about $25 billion to deport all these illegals. I'll make sure I get the math on that right, and I'll fix the title after the show, you guys. But so what is this about? Are we willing to spend that amount of money on these deportations? 11 million illegals divided by 500 per day. That's 22,000 days, which is 60 years. 60 years it would take to deport them all at this rate. Wow. Now, unless Trump comes up with a different way to do this, let's say freighters, put them all on a ship. You could probably fit several thousand people on a ship. Take a lot longer to get there, but that's an option. But essentially, you can't fly your way to these massive deportation goals that Trump has set out. Now, I looked this up because I wanted to see what had happened historically with deportations. And the most aggressive efforts. And according to history, the most aggressive efforts, they were actually able to exceed this 500 per day. They were actually up to 500,000 per year. And even with the most aggressive attempts, you're looking at 22 years to deport 11 million people. Now, I don't think Trump is stupid. I think he knows this. He knows how long this is going to take at this rate. And this is why I believe that at some point he's just going to tell us that the only way to do this is a solution that they've already come up with. Likely some kind of biometric scanning of every citizen so that we know that eventually they'll all be picked up. Don't worry, we've got you covered. All we have to do is everybody get identified, and eventually they'll all be out of the country. I think that's what's coming next, because these goals are just unattainable, as I just demonstrated with the math. Now, already, if you don't believe me, they're already IDing American citizens. They're already IDing American citizens. Show me your papers. Now, I told you this was going to happen, and it is happening. There are people very upset about this. Show me your papers. And in many cases, they're asking for government issue ID. Real ID that Trump promoted. Do you see the continuity here? It all started from the beginning. Now, Trump didn't originate Real ID, but he endorsed it. He said every state should have Real ID. And here we are now, and every state is pushing towards Real ID, which is a federal ID. It's the first step in the biometric facial recognition. They're also threatening collateral arrest to anyone suspected of being an illegal, anyone who is preventing law enforcement from finding the illegals, or if you're not able to provide an ID. Now, again, I'm in complete agreement with what Trump is doing with his deportation. My concern is that this will segue directly into a much more aggressive identification system for the rest of us, for American citizens. Now, why am I concerned about this? Well, Trump's already aligned with tech billionaires who've already shown their hand to us in different interviews that they've done over the years, haven't they? They've already shown us what they want to do. They've already shown us that they've always been monitoring us and surveilling us through technology. The only thing holding them back is processing all the data and figuring out who to focus on and when. The data is already out there. And now with this new artificial intelligence, all of this will happen seamlessly. So, if Trump wasn't aligning with these tech billionaires, and if the Bible didn't say that there would be a mark or identification that we would be forced to have to buy and sell, then I would trust what Trump is doing. But the Bible does say that there will be some kind of identifier that'll be marked on us in order to buy and sell. And it does say that there will be an antichrist and a beast, which I believe is artificial intelligence. And it also says that many will worship the image of the beast. So as Christians, we should resist that, not join in with it. So, good job securing the border, but what comes next? Now, the same applies to this government efficiency thing, right? Because we're getting tricklings of firings and things that will come nowhere close to Elon Musk's goals of saving, like, what do you say, $1 trillion? So there's something else coming. They're not going to reach their goals by doing this. Now, Trump did just announce that he is put a moratorium, a sweeping freeze on all federal aid. So, again, this is a good thing because they're stopping all the spending except for Medicare and Medicaid. Even foreign spending, foreign support for other countries is frozen while they hash all this out. We'll come back to this story at the end of the show. But things are changing, aren't they? Things are changing. And they always start with the carrot They always draw us in with the sugar, and then comes what comes next. Now let's keep going on this deportation thing. And this massive surge of efficiency. Because I believe, again, something is coming. And it's going to tie right into this Stargate AI. Because that's the only way they can do this, right? Is if the Stargate AI is what's running the government instead of the people. And I feel like they're waiting for that to be completed before they fire everybody. They're waiting for it to come online. Now, in the past golden ages, people didn't have jobs. So maybe this is what is coming. So here are some headlines surrounding these deportations. Because countries are starting to push back. Some are caving in after Trump threatened them with tariffs. Colombia at first said, oh, no, you can't fly these people back here. And then Trump's like, okay, 25% tariffs. Well, a third of Colombia's gross national product is to America. So that would have literally crashed the country. So then they finally gave in. But again, you can't fly your way to these deportation goals. It's literally impossible. It would take decades and decades. At one point, Trump zeroed in on a particular country. I think it was El Salvador. Said they were making a plan to send all the immigrants to El Salvador. So I don't know if that's still in the works. And I don't know why El Salvador would want all these immigrants from all the different countries. It's weird. Maybe organ trafficking. Who knows? What a nightmare. Here's the border czar in his comments. And essentially, he says, if you're here illegally, you got a problem. So, anybody. They're starting with the criminals, but now this dragnet's going to anybody who is here illegally. Again, I agree with this. Look, I was in France, and I would have expected to be deported.
One of the very first appointments Donald Trump made after winning the election in November.
Let's see if we can fix this. Oh, they're not going to give that to us here. I'm going to try to play this for you guys, but it's on a set resolution, and it's going to just keep skipping. So I'm not going to put you through that. But anyway, you would expect to be deported if you were in the European Union, for instance, past your visa, right? No one would say anything about it. Why is it different in the United States? Why are people so upset about this? And many of you have also heard, what was it? A couple of pop stars got on Instagram bawling their eyes out about this happening. Would they be bawling their eyes out if you were an American in another country and you got deported? Of course not. So what's happening here? This is weird. So this is crazy. Let's look at this other story here. Here's the Navajo Nation. They're upset because they're getting carded. Navajo Nation leaders raise alarm over reports of indigenous people being questioned and detained during immigration sweeps. So show me your papers. Probably racial profiling. Many of these people probably look like they're from another country. So this is what's happening. Now, look, I understand some of this has to be done. And I can understand if I looked like a Hispanic person and I had to go through all this and I was here legally, I can understand that might suck, right? I mean, let's just cut to the chase. But understand that this whole thing was set up this way to have this happen. Remember when we had discussions about race relations? And we talked about Hispanic people, and we're like, wow, you know what? There's no race problem really between Hispanics and white people. And I was wondering, why haven't they pulled that card yet? Because they love stoking the flames when it comes to black and white, right? And remember, I told you guys, oh, give it some time. It's coming. Give it some time. It's coming. Hispanic people will have their day on the stage of America in terms of race relations. And guess what? It's happening right now with these deportations. Every Hispanic person walking around is looking around over their shoulder right now as the U.S. military is sweeping through towns. Do you think that there aren't people calling the cops and calling ICE on families that they think are harboring illegals right now? Of course that's happening. You should have seen the fear leading up to this year. Even in my area, there were people like saying that, oh, the border, they're coming across the border. They're all around us. And I would remember we had this conversation and I said to you guys, when I was talking to these people, I was like, I don't see any Hispanic people around here. And they're like, yeah, they're hiding. They're hiding in the woods. They literally thought there were Hispanic people hiding in the woods. We have several Mexican restaurants in this area. Do you think somebody hasn't called ICE on these people? Of course they have. So this is where we're living right now. Literally, this is worse than I think what black people have gone through. I mean, they're literally going through, and anyone who looks Hispanic is getting carded, pulled over. Show me your papers. If you can't show credentials, you are getting deported. Wow. So here we go, you guys, the next phase. And we'll see what happens. Now, I'm not saying that this is worse than what black people have gone through in terms of the whole entire history and the slavery. I'm talking about right now, okay? I'm a black person. I don't get pulled over. I don't get, messed with. People don't mess with my property or have me show me their papers, okay? That might be happening to a worse degree in other parts of the country. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now that it's the Hispanic people that are dealing with this. So, again, it needed to happen, but did it need to happen this way? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this should have been done with legislation and enforcement through taking away benefits first. Give them time to get back across the border. You have no benefits. If you're harboring an illegal, you go to jail. If you're hiring an illegal, you go to jail or you get fined. And then let the natural course of deportation happen when these people have no other choice. That's the more human way to do it. And believe it or not, I think it would happen even faster than flying them out on planes. Why? Well, when you don't have a driver's license, when you cut off the NGO organizations helping people with food, hotels, marching them across the border, they're going to self-deport. No one's ever done that before. No president has ever forced the states to not give out benefits. When you cut off health care, when you cut off driver's licenses, it's attrition. You're going to get thousands of people pouring back across the border because they have no food to eat. They have no one to help them. They have no work. They can't get electricity hooked up at their house. They can't get a home loan anymore. Do you see how that is a much better way and more rapid way to do it without having to identify everybody? And then, yes, you do put the military at the border so they can't come back across. To me, that just seems like a much more logical solution. Now, we've talked about that, but Trump is not adopting that. He's using blunt force here. And again, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think people want to wait 60 years at 500 immigrants per day on airplanes that are going to cost tens of billions of dollars. I just don't think that's what people signed up for. Now, what else is going on in here? Let's see here. Don't worry, we're going to get to Biden too. Biden the Freemason. Yes, these are strange times. Here are some other stories I want to get caught up on. This is insane. Remember the squirrels we talked about? And remember how they said these squirrels are literally eating bowls. They're eating other rodents. And some people are like, yeah, Casey, it's known that squirrels are opportunistic omnivores. Okay, I understand that. Except this particular research team had been watching this population of squirrels for 12 years and never noticed them eating other rodents. Okay, let me say that again. This particular group of researchers have been watching this population of squirrels for over a decade and never noticed them eating these other rodents. So something has changed, and that's what I was trying to get people to understand. Don't fall asleep to the chatbots. The chatbots control your thought. Always think for yourself. No, it's not normal to watch a squirrel eating a rodent. That's not normal, and don't let anyone ever tell you that it is. Here it is. Let's read some of this. Squirrels are among the most familiar creatures to the average American. Blah, blah, blah. A study from University of Wisconsin and University of California published in the Journal of Ethology revealed a surprising finding about California ground squirrels. They can be carnivorous. In 2024, field researchers at Contra Costa County's Briones Regional Park observed ground squirrels hunting and eating voles. This is shocking information for anyone who sees squirrels out and about on a regular basis. But it was even more shocking for the researchers. They had been following squirrel behavior for 12 years before making this observation. So something has changed. Are these the beginnings of the zombie apocalypse? We're seeing it in animals first, eating each other, eating voles. I don't know. But something has changed. Now, by now you've heard Joe Biden joined the Freemasons. Oh, thanks, brothers. Thanks for I want to join the Freemasons. Thanks, brothers. Where's my apron? You know, if you rub the hair on my legs, and then, you know, they saw the hair on my legs was running. To me, he was already a Freemason. This is just to stir the pot. January 19th, the day before Biden left office, the president was granted a resolution of membership by the lodge in recognition of his exceptional dedication and service to the United States. Freemason Lodge here. Here's the picture. Wow. So that's the update on that. Some of you had mentioned you wanted me to cover that story. All these people are Freemasons. Now, here's a crazy story. One of the people pardoned at the Capitol was shot and killed at a routine police stop, or so they want us to believe. They tried to arrest this guy on a gun charge. Now, what I believe here is that this guy was targeted. He was a targeted individual. As soon as you're part of something like this, you go on a list. And my guess is that he and the other pardonees are on this list, and it probably went out to all of law enforcement across the U.S., or maybe they forgot to remove them from the list from before, even though they were already in custody or being monitored. See, this is the problem with artificial intelligence. All this stuff becomes super efficient until to the point where you can become targeted. The AI can literally focus on you, and there's no escape, even if you've done nothing wrong. So my guess is that this guy's plates came up in the system as a high value target, or, you know, somebody that needed to be pulled over. And they'll never tell you that. Law enforcement won't ever tell you that, but they know. They have everything flagged. So if you're a person that needs to get pulled over, they run your plates, like all these bells and whistles go off in their squad car. And then, of course, what does that do? Adrenaline starts going. They're like, ooh, this person's armed and dangerous, even if they're not. And then things escalate very quickly out of control. And that's exactly what happened here. Now they're saying again that they picked this guy up on a gun charge from another state. And apparently the guy didn't want to go back to jail, and there was a shootout. Now we're unsure about how all this went down, because they're not really saying, but there are a lot of questions. This was not captured on body cam. as far as I know. So if you're in the, let's go back into the chat here. If we have any law enforcement in here, I can't imagine there are too many. But if you are in law enforcement or have worked in law enforcement recently, what happens when you run a plate? Are there certain people that come up like on a terror watch list or any of that stuff? Do all the bells and whistles go off and basically induce you to pull that person over? Let's see. Let's give this a minute and let this catch up. But yeah, can you imagine? You get pardoned and now you're walking around with a huge target on your back. Got to worry about a cop getting behind you. So crazy times, you guys. Now, as we're waiting for this to catch up and getting some feedback about, what's going on with these cops and how this all works, understand that Trump did put a freeze on federal spending, including foreign aid. He says it's temporary. And for now, the only payments that are going out are to Social Security and Medicare. Again, I agree with that. Everything needs to be looked at, but to what end? So we were on Trump about stopping the federal rebates for electric cars. And apparently that falls under this freeze. So good job. I didn't think he was going to do that. So, all right, I'm in the chat, you guys. Let's see here. Any and all records, registration, and cops notes if you've been previously encountered. Wow. Huge target on your back. You become profiled. And again, when the AI kicks in, they'll even simplify it further. There'll be a little robot in there that says, pull this car over. This car has come up on our radar. The person in this vehicle is armed and dangerous. Like a computer voice. Yeah, so no body cam. They were probably not cops, says Araceli. Yeah, you can't rule anything out. They have squads of people running around doing all kinds of crazy stuff, you guys. If they have, these contractors, you think that's not happening on American soil? Of course it is. Now, what's the takeaway today? Well, unless Trump has a secret plan to ramp up deportations and government efficiency cuts, he will never reach his goals in several decades. Now, if I thought that it mattered, I would say that we're still in the first week and, these things take time. But what I think is going to happen is a massive false flag or some kind of catalyzing event to force the real change that they're going for, which is the Stargate AI and the complete reconfiguration of what it even means to be human. Our worth, our roles in society, our value, based on today's skill sets versus tomorrow's skill sets. Everything is going to completely change because we're on the brink of a revolution in what it means to be human. And with revolution typically comes drastic events. Now, several of you said, Casey, they probably already have this Stargate AI set up, and I agree with you. To some degree, they do. Remember, weeks before Trump even announced Stargate AI, we did a video on the data centers, remember? Which is what Stargate AI is. It's just basically a golden data center. It's the best of the best. And I told you about the data centers, and I was really concerned about them. I go, you guys, these data centers are popping up all over the country. Nothing to see here, right? Until Trump announced Stargate AI, and now you get it. So we have more data centers than any other country in the world. But Stargate AI will be the best of the best, and it will basically absorb and control all the other data centers. We're literally going to be living on a chipboard. You're going to literally look at America from an aerial view, and it's going to look like a computer chipboard is what it's going to look like. It's insane. It's insane. Now, tomorrow, many of you have asked me to look into Deep Seek. What is Deep Seek? Well, look at your screen. Because we're going to talk about how all this fits into the new Stargate AI that Trump is building. Here's the thumbnail. What is Deep Seek? It is the war on within. The war on your star. What are you talking about, Casey? The pineal gland is the seat of the Holy Spirit within you. It's where it resides. The eye is the lamp of the body. You're either full of light or full of darkness, is what Jesus said. Let your eye be single. That is where he dwells within you. And this is what they're seeking to attack. They are gathering data to copy you, to copy what it means to be human, your intelligence, your consciousness. Now, I understand that warp speed also could mean war seed. Many of you ask me, you're like, hey, I think it means war seed. But remember, I never backed away from this draw deeps. What is draw deeps? It's a variation on the word warp speed. As you can see here on the screen, it's warp speed backwards, except the D is rotated into a P. Warp speed. You see it? S-P-E-E-D and warp, ward. The P is rotated. Now, what does all this mean? Well, we'll break that down tomorrow. But literally, it's the war on you and me, our consciousness. DeepSeek is also part of it. It's a collection, data collection, getting as much data as it can so that it can impersonate humans. Gives the whole deep state thing an entirely new meaning, doesn't it? The deep state. The speed state. Wow. Now, tomorrow's show, I also busted a literal fake accounts, multiple fake accounts coming from different directions, all with the exact same comment. This is why, look, it's not censorship when you're fighting an algorithm and you're fighting fake accounts. I have to get those off the channel because it's artificial sentiment. It's not real. I have some pretty basic rules on this channel. You could say whatever you want, just don't be a chaos agent. You can disagree with me, but do it nicely. And if I see artificial sentiment being generated by chatbots, that gets erased too. That's not censorship. It's maintaining the organic integrity of free thought. It's like washing laundry. You're not going to leave the dirt on the clothes. You want nice, clean, fresh clothes, right? And anyone that tells you anything differently, they're basically wanting to allow the AI to control people's sentiment and thought. So, it's difficult sometimes, but the rules are pretty basic. The rules on this channel are, again, you can say whatever you want, stick to the points, no character assassination. We're not in third grade here. So, you call someone a shill, you better be able to back it up with evidence. You can't just say that person's a shill. That's called character assassination. You have to provide evidence, stick to the points, and let's debate the points that I bring up. And that's how you can tell if someone's a chatbot or not. Because think about it. Imagine you go on a truth channel and there are chatbots from 15 different accounts and they're seeding in a sentiment into the chat. And they're saying, this channel's a shill. And you see it from like 10 or 15 different accounts and the accounts look real to you. What's that going to do to your mind? You're going to start believing that channel's a shill, aren't you? You're going to be like, whoa, maybe they are a shill. I need to take another look. Do you see how this works? It's literal mind control. That's what it is. So we have to root it out. We have to literally root out artificial intelligence. Now, there should be laws and rules against this. The importance of this is huge. The ramifications of this are huge. Can you imagine? I mean, look, this is why the Democrats thought they were going to win. They were literally seeding in, oh, Kamala is great. Kamala is qualified. Kamala is this. Kamala is that. Even though it wasn't true, but yet the artificial intelligence was seeding this in, weren't they? So that people started to believe it. So this is what we're up against, you guys. We're up against a machine. Who can make war with the beast? Wow. All right, I'm back in the chat. Visionary vet, I'm not a chatbot. Oh my gosh. Pretty soon you're not going to be able to tell. Now we busted. Here, I'll give you a sneak peek for those of you that hung around. I'll give you a sneak peek for tomorrow's show because many of you are chomping at the bit. Here is an example of a chatbot. And you would never know. Look, they're all from various accounts. What are they talking about? Binance. In this instance, Binance, a Chinese company, crypto company. And you get all these different, would appear to, they even use my name in some of these. And then they're like, buy Binance. You see? Some of them have crypto names and others don't. Now, one of the subscribers, Tom Hindy, one of our subscribers here, a real person, he called this out a year ago. Let's see what he had to say. We'll cover all this tomorrow too, but good job, Tom. He says, Wikipedia says CZ is Canadian. Shengping Zhao, commonly known as CZ, is a Chinese-born Canadian businessman, investor, and software engineer. Zhao is the co-founder and CEO of Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange by trading volume as of July 2022. So he called this out, and now since then, looks like CRNK also called it out. Since then, look at all these fake accounts talking about transferring to Binance. Send them to Binance. Send them to Binance. Send them to Binance. And the first part of their post says, thanks for sharing such valuable information. So it sounds like they're a real subscriber. So this is one instance of something related to crypto, but imagine how you can mind control people to do whatever you want by pretending to be real in social media. All right, back in the chat. Now here's the zinger. Here's the dead giveaway, as I always say. Okay. Trump is all into crypto and artificial intelligence, the very stuff driving thought control. What does that tell you? And, you know, people come on here and they're like, YouTube hates Trump. Well, if he really did, then YouTube would have easily fixed the problem with Binance sending chatbots into YouTube, right? They could have done that years ago. But they won't, because they also secretly want people to adopt crypto as well. This is all one big show. They're pretending to oppose each other, but really they're backing each other up. This is why YouTube's got on board with artificial intelligence and crypto, the very things that Trump is leading with. So I hope some people wake up today. I hope they do. So, yes, it's spam. Yeah, I don't think reporting it even helps, because if it did, YouTube would have fixed it. All they had to do was set up a filter to filter out anything that says Binance. It's simple. It's like one line of code. Easy, but they won't, because they're working with China. This is what I've been trying to tell everybody. You know, if China was such a threat, then you wouldn't be able to get some of these apps on your phone. They pretend like they're going to take them away, but they never really do. This is why Trump saved TikTok. And this is why this DeepSeek is available right now on your iPhone. You can go download it right now. I wouldn't, but if it was such a threat, they would have taken care of this a long time ago. So, yes, it's become a world of AI and zombies. Exactly, scatter noise. Okay, what else is going on? Just be aware of this. Don't ever. Okay, now you're more easily susceptible to all this stuff if you're in the right-left paradigm, right? And I know I go on and on about this, but this is the central theme to fighting the beast. You're more easily susceptible to being tricked if you're in the right-left paradigm. Okay? That's how this works. You're unaware of the devices happening all around you. You give in to sentiment, even when it goes against your better judgment. Because nobody wants to feel like they're on the outside of something, do they? And so if you see something repeated over and over again, you start believing it. Unless you're standing on morals and principle. Unless you're standing outside of Trump or Biden or Kamala. Life is like swimming through peanut butter. Certainly starts to feel that way, doesn't it? Okay. Oligarchs versus the serfs. Absolutely, Pat. You nailed it. This is the war. This is the true battle. Now, why do they care what we do? Well, they want to operate with impunity. They want to be able to do, the oligarchs want to be able to do whatever they want. And they want to steer humanity towards the beast. They want to basically fulfill biblical prophecy. They want to be able to claim peace and security, true peace and security. How do you do that? With an all-seeing eye that stops all crime because everybody's under a camera. Right? They want to stop all wars, but they want to do it on their terms, which means complete surveillance and control of citizens. They want to force you to accept the mark. They want to force you to accept worshiping the beast so that they have complete domination and control. And then they want to harvest humanity for their needs. They'll have an endless supply of blood donors and blood boys so they can stay young. Right? They want to have complete control over the prime areas of Earth that they want to live in. And they've been promised all this by Satan himself. And they'll just kick everybody out. And what are you going to do about it? You're not going to be able to do anything because they will have complete surveillance, dominance, and control. There will be no more voting. There will be no more sentiment that goes against what they're saying because you'll just immediately be targeted and quieted. This is the future that artificial intelligence and technology brings. This is why there should be laws in place to stop this from happening. Notice they're talking about all this stuff, but nowhere in here are they talking about maintaining the integrity of what it means to be human, maintaining the integrity of humanity and privacy. None of that is being talked about right now. All that's being talked about is more surveillance, more technology, more control. You guys, up until 2 years ago, conservatives didn't want national health care, did they? What reality are we living in where a tech billionaire just got up on stage and said that they were going to be handling health with the federal government? What reality is this that everyone just goes along with that? I thought we rejected national health care under Obama. Oh no, but Trump has a bigger and better national health care. It's going to be run by artificial intelligence. Somebody wake me up from this nightmare of literally everybody being asleep except the people on this channel. Wow. Yeah, they're redefining what it means to be human, aren't they? They're redefining it before our eyes. We don't even have a real role. Now think about it. Everything they do is rebellion against God. What did God say in the Bible? He told Adam, by the sweat of your brow. Now I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know the exact verse. He said, by the sweat of your brow, you will toil. Toil in the soil, I think it says. So that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be going through life and having something to do, toiling. Right? He didn't say, eventually there will be an artificial intelligence and you won't have to work because robots will do everything. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that, except in reference to the beast, who will control everything in buying and selling. That's the only time it talks about that, and that's not good. It's literally rebellion to God. Oh, God, we're not going to toil anymore. We're gonna make artificial intelligence and robots do everything. Do you want to be on that side of the issue, on this spiritual issue? Do you want to be on that side of the spiritual issue, in rebellion of God's edict to Adam? No more toiling. That's what it means to be human. Do you want robots doing all the work for you? Do you want robots washing your dishes, turning on light switches, doing all your gardening, delivering everything to your house? What are you going to do as a human? Well, guess what? You're going to do exactly what the beast wants you doing. Sitting on your port, sitting on your portal, absorbing the right-left paradigm so that your mind is easily controlled. Unless you're watching this channel, of course, and then you're awake to it. But this is where it's all headed, you guys. Unless you stand up. Well, you guys are standing up. I'm talking about the rest of humanity. Unless humanity wakes up, they're walking right into the arms of the beast. And that ain't good. I love each and every one of you, and we'll be back tomorrow with Deep Seek, the Chinese chatbot GPT. Much love, everybody.